Hello, I'm James A. Janice, and this is the Kill Count.
Fuck. I was not expecting that. That is great. Okay. I guess it's fitting because we're going to talk about some horror films.
Happy Halloween!
Happy 420.
It's July 2nd. I almost said July 4th.
No, we're not quite there yet.
I don't know what day it is.
I don't know. Time is a myth or a construct. It doesn't exist.
We're going to talk about movies at
And
some
other
point.
things.
Yeah.
Mostly movies. But
Yeah.
we're going to, I guess I want to get some issues out of the way with the first episode just real quick because I fucked up one of my words.
Ba-dum-bum.
When I said, when we were talking about, where we would go for 24 hours, I said I would want to go somewhere with small settlements on the coast because the rest of, the landmass is inhabitable. I didn't realize it was uninhabitable because, like the word habitable already sounds correct, right?
Yeah.
And so naturally, I thought, oh, inhabitable, would be the negative, inescapable or inaudible because fuck the English language. And
inhabit means you live there.
Yeah, but that's so weird to me. I guess because the habitat is where you go and then you inhabit it, like you go into it. English language is just a fucking mess. Don't get shitty with people who don't speak English because they don't speak English because quite frankly, half of us fucking can't either.
How else did we mess up?
Shit, I forgot. Oh yeah, no, the music cues. I said I was gonna plug my shit. I'm not gonna plug my shit because we're doing 15-second breaks whenever we do the middle, and that's not worth the time to try to figure out what part of a song to clip. So we just use stock music. We're probably gonna use royalty-free music for a while until I write transitions.
Mm-hmm.
And the last thing was as I was recording it, I should say that we are recording this the day after the first episode went live, so that's why it's so fresh in my mind. I could have just been snappier with my jokes, and that's something that's going to come in time. But I want to say that I was also a little under the weather. And that's what it was.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all I wanted to say about the first
Under
episode.
the weather means...
Don't tell him.
Okay.
I'll tell you when you're older. Don't worry about it.
All right.
I was not feeling myself that day. I was real nervous too. So,
Yeah.
first episode jitters.
We're nervous people.
By nature, yeah.
But I don't know. I feel like that makes you funny because...
When I'm nervous?
Well, I just mean in general, people like...
Oh, yeah. Well, because then it's more of a visceral reaction from you. Whenever you do speak, it's more of a gut thing.
Yeah.
I think that's what that means, right?
I think when you're nervous, you're a little bit more on your toes, but then it can go south if it goes overboard.
Yeah, especially if you don't lean into something. If you if you make a joke and you don't really own up to it, it can backfire pretty bad. Speaking of jokes, this will be the third time in a row that I've talked about Community on this podcast.
Yeah, we've watched it a lot this year.
We have.
We've been, well, obviously with coronavirus and stuff, everybody's watching a lot of TV. And I think I watched it for the first time fully last year.
Yeah, you guys watched it before me when we lived on that house. I occasionally tuned into it, but
we lived on a house.
Yeah, we lived on top of a house, on the roof of the house. The people who lived there somehow didn't hear us walking around on the roof. That was impressive. But no, yeah, you guys watched it, and I was watching it, vicariously when it was on, but I wasn't paying attention to it. I didn't watch it until the beginning or, March of this year once we moved back.
And then we watched it 3 more times
3
in a row.
3 more times after that, yeah.
And then now I'm listening to Harmontown
You are.
5 episodes a day.
And that's how we started this podcast.
No, it's not. I have always wanted to start a podcast.
I have too, yeah. But I wanted to bring it up because recently Netflix and Hulu both took down one of the best episodes of the show, which is Advanced Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
Over something that's not even okay. This is going to be a touchy subject, because it's an issue that does have to deal with race and how blackface is portrayed in media. Obviously, blackface is never a good thing. You do not.
Yeah.
It's a donut.
Well,
you don't you don't want to do it, but there are ways to it's okay. I'm gonna explain that part at the end. I'm gonna backtrack a bit and explain how Community did it and how it's not.
Well, let's say first of all how not to do blackface, or just to go down to the basics of it. And I get the irony that this is two white people talking about
blackface.
about blackface.
Yeah, we've done this before. Don't worry, we're
clearly
pros.
If you're a person of color, please weigh in, because we are not experts.
Voice your opinions, especially in the comments or wherever you can.
But what we're gonna say is what I've seen the sentiment a lot on the internet from people of color. The general consensus is that they don't care about these episodes of TV shows. I don't know if you know, but I guess the easy example, there was one with the Golden Girls where they had mud masks on for their face.
It was
black face masks that you use for skin purposes are not blackface. Like, it's just putting a mask on your face. Now, if some stupid white girl or person in general, doesn't matter the gender, but if they were to put that on and then be like, I'm a black person, or just like say something stupid,
if they were trying to like take the culture of the black person and like take a spin on it, that would obviously be bad.
But just having a mud mask on your face or a skin mask that happens to be black is not offensive. I don't think,
because the example in Community is that Kim Jong, he's playing a dark elf, and the episode goes as far as to point out the fact that he is dressed up potentially in blackface with the character Shirley, who is African American, and she's like, "Are we just okay with this?" And he explains it away. No, this is a dark elf. Canonically, in the game of Dungeons and Dragons, this is what they appear to look like.
Yeah, and he's like fully like,
and it's Dan Harmon. He
pitch
knows
black with elf ears. Like, he's a literal
like he's dressed up as an elf from head
like
to
a
toe.
Shadow person.
And I mean, Dan Harmon knows what he's doing. He's not stupid.
Yeah.
But there are other examples of that. The first one that I wanted to bring up initially before the Community one happened was Tropic Thunder, because Robert Downey Jr. was also in blackface. But if anyone who has seen Tropic Thunder knows
also, who hasn't seen Tropic Thunder? I just want to point that out. Why not? It's a great movie.
I'm not shitting on an entire generation. I just watch it before you decide if it's wrong or not, because the entire that movie is a satire of Hollywood, of how ridiculous and fucking stupid Hollywood is. Anyone who watches that movie knows, even just from the beginning, which is the mock trailers of mock Hollywood films, knows that this movie is not taking itself seriously. And with Robert Downey Jr.'s character in specific, it's not that his character is in blackface. His character is so dumb and into Hollywood and his career that he got skin pigmentation surgery or whatever.
Yeah, however they explain that.
For a role.
Literally, like, isn't it like irreversible? Like, in the movie, he like forever changed his skin pigmentation.
And he gets
for a role.
There are points in the movie where he gets shit on for it by other characters, and the whole point of his character is that you're not supposed to do that, because the example.
Yeah, they're pointing out through the movie like
how wrong it
is. This is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And
like the movie itself, like it's both him and Ben Stiller's characters who have to realize that, and I'm going to say this once and hopefully never again, because Ben Stiller's lesson that he has to learn, he played Simple Jack, and Robert Downey Jr.'s character, to point out how ridiculous both these scenarios are in blackface, says you don't go full retard, because that was what Simple Jack's character was.
Yes.
And he realizes that at the end of the movie, the best part about that joke is that it's a joke inside of a joke, because not only is Robert Downey Jr. playing a fake black man, he's also playing like a British actor or something. So when the veil comes off, he puts on this British accent, and that it's just a joke inside of a joke inside of a joke, like this whole fucking movie is.
Right. Well, the whole movie is making fun of Hollywood, but the point especially of that is just that these actors that take on these like serious roles, or like roles that are like very different from who they are. So like an actor that's white would play a black person, or things that we don't like now, like non-trans people playing trans people. They think that they're doing like a really big, serious, important thing, and
like
it's
when,
like
Jeffrey Tambor
it's
played.
acting, it's movies, it's entertainment. Like, we think of the Oscars, and I'm not saying that movies aren't great. They're one of my favorite parts of life.
Obviously.
Right.
I should.
But
I
we
shouldn't
take
do
them a little
visual
too
gags.
seriously. I mean, and I know eventually you want to talk about The Last of Us, but it brings to mind that
but
people get
that's its own thing.
So just I don't know,
Caught up in their egos.
entertainment and an ego, and you think about the Oscars and it's just a bunch of rich people saying what a great thing they did.
That's why I loved the Oscars when Bong Joon-ho kept getting award after award, and these people were like, yeah, clapping, like, but you could tell on their faces they didn't know what the fuck was going on.
Yeah.
They didn't
and
know
then only
who
afterwards was everybody like, oh, Parasite.
Parasite's a
That's
fantastic
a great movie.
fucking film,
I mean,
by the way.
I'm glad it deserved to win, and I'm glad, but like there are, I'm sure, so many international movies we don't even know about that are equally as great just because they didn't get the same distribution, the same treatment.
Yeah, like we have a couple of foreign films. We have Rec, we have Let the Right One In, like these classics that have, gotten unfortunately shitty American re-releases.
Right.
And I don't think we've seen Let Me In, but we watched that after Let the Right One In. I have never seen Quarantine.
I don't think I have either.
Is that what it's called?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's oddly appropriate.
I know.
I didn't realize that. Also, I didn't realize that we would be wearing a Ghostface shirt between the two of us. I was going to point it out and not say anything, just be like, look what we're doing. But I need to realize that we are not just video, we are also audio. So some people might not be watching this on YouTube. Yeah, we got to remember to explain visuals because not everyone's going to be watching this on YouTube. Some people are just going to be listening to it.
Occasionally our brains will sync up and we'll, it's like twins where they accidentally wear the same similar things on the same day.
Yeah. I love this set, by the way. Who decorated this set?
Me.
You did a good job.
Thank you.
You're hired.
I'm a Halloween decor all year round person, but I do like decorating extra for Halloween just because I feel like I used to do Halloween all the time.
Used to go so fucking hard for Halloween.
Well, I still do, but then I realized that it didn't make that time of year as special.
Yeah,
it's like having a Christmas tree in your house year round.
Yeah, it takes the meaning away after a while.
Right.
It loses its meaning over time.
And I still like spooky things and skulls and having that stuff up all the time, but I just like adding all the orange and the extra and the decorations one time a year. But I still wear like Halloween related clothing items all the time.
I think we
got way off the subject of blackface.
Oh yeah, we
Probably
did.
for good reason. But
I mean,
I just wanted to say, wait till Gen Z finds out about It's Always Sunny.
Well, that was the last one I wanted to talk about until we got off topic, because it not only does I can't fucking pronounce his last. I'm not even gonna try. Not only does Mac dress up in blackface, but so does Glenn Howard's character Dennis.
Yeah.
And like
Dee was in it too.
Oh yeah,
for the wedding scene.
Because and she also plays very racist.
Oh yeah, she
plays a lot of lowbrow racist characters in the show. But I mean, that's It's Always Sunny is absurd to point out how shitty these characters are and use these characters to talk about subjects by being shitty and like kind of just showing you the examples of how to do it.
Hey, these people do terrible things.
Yeah. So
one of these terrible things is that they think blackface is okay. And it's funny because it's so ridiculous how terrible they are.
Fucking ridiculous and absurd. Like the first episode of the show is literally the gang gets racist, in which the gang tries to prove they're not racist by being absolutely fucking racist.
Yeah.
And
well, I think one of my favorite types of humor is when it's the same thing, like if you want to talk about Republicans versus Democrats, they use something that people do and then exaggerate it to such an extreme that it becomes ridiculous and you can laugh at it.
Yeah. And that's the entire premise of the show, It's Always Sunny. And that's why it's one of my, like, it's at least my top 3 favorite shows.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Somewhere
in between Arrested Development and Community.
Yeah, but you're always going to have those people who don't get that and just laugh at it because it's like
it's
they like the surface level, like
they think that
it's a joke about poop.
Yeah.
I can't believe they did that. Like they don't get the deeper level criticism going on. Not to sound like a hoity-toity bitch, but
like someone who knows what they're talking about.
yeah, I think that just always irks me when people only take, like, I guess this is a good transition into horror, but like with Cabin in the Woods, the people who don't get what it's actually saying,
how meta and
are
satirical
just like,
Cabin in the Woods
it was
is.
dumb. I didn't know it was happening.
Yeah, they were like, these twists are stupid. I don't know what's going on. Why are they in a lab all of a sudden? Like, are you not watching the movie? But I don't think they pick up on what makes horror and how to poke fun at it. Mm-hmm. Especially because it's Joss Whedon. You know, the man made Buffy.
Yeah, he's a very meta writer.
Super meta.
And if we're going to talk about spoilers to the movies.
Spoilers for everything.
Yeah. Well, we're not going to talk about anything really new.
No.
So it's for people who are fans. They would have already seen
the most recent thing that we might talk about. I know we're going to talk about Suspiria, but I don't know if we're going to talk about anything like Midsummer or any of that.
I want to talk about those.
Okay.
I love Ari Aster.
Because we're going to do more movie podcasts anyway, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know how many films we can talk about before people just get sick of hearing about
I'm assuming still
films.
At this point, if anyone's listening, they probably know us in real life and are a friend.
Yeah.
So you probably know that we love movies. And
we're going to
love talking about them,
and
analyzing them.
For fuck knows how long. This is going to be a long episode.
Probably.
But I'm here for it. I'm here. I'm queer. Let's talk about movies.
Basically what your button on your shirt says.
Oh, fuck. I forgot I'm wearing this button. Okay, so I'm wearing this rainbow button that says still here, still queer. Stonewall 50 years.
Yeah, last year I think was the 50-year anniversary of the Stonewall riots.
Yeah.
So.
Which
that's what that button was.
Yeah.
I'm just explaining it.
I think we got it at the Pride Parade in Chicago, right?
Yeah.
Okay, let's move away from. Let's put a pin in everything else we're talking about because we got to get on track for this movie cast.
Okay.
Unless you have more you want to say.
I don't think so.
Okay. I don't have any films to talk about. I mean, like I want to just kind of.
Oh wait.
What?
I guess. Okay, so you were talking about things that you had a problem with in the first podcast or things that you wanted to address in our first episode. You said that when I asked you your favorite Disney movie, it threw you off.
Yeah.
So let's get on that tangent before we jump on something else.
It was a sudden question that threw me off guard, and I wasn't ready for it. If I had to pick a favorite Disney movie, it was really coming down to between Lilo and Stitch and Emperor's New Groove, right? Because they're both great movies in their own respect, but I feel like in my gut, I gotta give it to Lilo and Stitch. Because that movie is adorable, and I love it.
I vividly remember when that came out. It was huge.
Mm-hmm. It was massive.
One of the biggest Disney movies of like our childhood that wasn't like when we were like before we were 5 or 6 or whatever. We're both like 90s kids, but I was born in 90.
That's what you're gonna say. We're both 90.
Like we're both 90 years old.
I feel
Can't
90
you tell?
sometimes. Damn, my back's going out.
No, I was born in 93. You were born in 92. So like I know that like Pocahontas and stuff and The Little Mermaid came out when we were like very young, but I don't remember culturally that happening.
No, yeah.
I know that I really liked Pocahontas and I had toys and stuff, but I don't. But I remember Lilo and Stitch going to the Disney store in the mall and seeing all the Lilo and Stitch toys. And the video playing and all that.
I remember that for Hercules. And that might just be because...
See, I sort of remember when Hercules came out, but I just, like, I wasn't interested for whatever
Hercules
reason.
was my favorite when I was a kid because, you know, big buff hero guy.
Yeah, but I think it was definitely appealed to a lot of boys.
You know, now that I'm older, I can see that the story, as good as it is, it's just a simple story that's, you know, got its flaws. It's still a great movie. I still love it. Mm-hmm. But if I had to be objective about, you know, Disney films, I fucking love Lilo and Stitch. I could watch that film
Lilo
on
and
repeat.
Stitch made me bawl even as a child. It's so cute.
And it's pretty progressive in terms of Jumba and Pleakley.
That is true.
Because you know, Pleakley, he'll dress up as a woman from time to time, especially in the show, which I watched, but I'm not terribly familiar.
I was about to ask if you watched the show. I vaguely remember seeing it on like ABC Kids.
Yeah, I only watched it like in between, like if I had nothing to do, I would catch like a glimpse of it, but I wouldn't like sit down and like dedicate myself to it. Because back then would have probably been like the Cartoon Network golden years of like Ed, Edd n Eddy and whatnot.
Right. All right. So horror movies.
Yeah.
We collect them. We
We
watch
do.
them.
They probably take up more than half our entire collection of movies.
Yeah, I want to eventually get more VHS tapes. We have a few, but I
Well,
like
we don't have a
collecting
lot.
those. Yeah, and also because
This candle keeps
we were
going
able.
out.
Oops.
It's not a real candle, by the way. I should point that out. It's a fake candle that lights up. I know that people who are watching us on YouTube can see it, but I think it's also funny that I'm pointing it out because of how obviously fake it is.
I'm about to break it.
Just break it. Just throw it across the room. Just be done with the whole thing. You get mad at it and you're
I'll
like,
do that.
oh, you will?
No, I just meant I'll just leave it like that.
Okay. Yeah, I'll throw it across the room.
Let's have a fight right now.
Callbacks. Reference humor.
Okay. I don't know how to start.
I mean, what movies do you want to talk about? Like, we have
There's
3
so
here
much
that are worth talking about. We
Yeah.
have dozens
I guess
more to talk about.
I feel like Halloween's a good one
Like, I feel
to
like
start.
if these are up here, I keep forgetting that it's visual. Like, no one can see what these are. We have Halloween, Re-Animator, and Scream up here with us.
I feel like Halloween's, I guess, a good starting point because that was the second scary movie I ever saw.
What was the first?
My Bloody Valentine, the original.
Okay, I was about to say you saw like I know the remake is.
Yeah, my dad was either single or had a girlfriend at the time. But anyway, I lived just with him in a duplex, and at some point he had it on when he had some friends over, and I got really into it for some reason, even though I was 4 years old. And he made me go to bed and not watch it anymore, but I snuck out of my room so I could come out and see it and see the end. And the only thing I remember vividly was there was like a dead body that popped out of
I thought you said a dead potty.
a dead body.
That's some Rugrats shit. They ever had a horror themed Rugrats episode, that'd be it.
They did. The Angelica's brother. That was terrifying.
Yeah, that's not like a horror theme though.
That's true.
That's I don't know.
But no, there was a dead body that popped out of a dryer as a jump scare, and it scared me. But Halloween was the second horror
But at least
movie.
that means it was clean, right?
Yeah.
Popped out of the dryer.
I don't remember, honestly. I think there might have been some blood.
Okay.
It was called My Bloody Valentine. So.
Okay.
That Halloween is the second horror movie I ever saw, and I don't remember being scared. I think I was 5 or 6. I just remember that I thought it was really funny when he had the glasses and sheet on his head.
That is still really funny.
Like, as a little kid, I even got that. I was just like, ha!
And it's a classic. You probably have a lot more to say about it than I do. I think it's a really great movie.
It's a good bonding thing for me and my dad because it's funny. I just visited him for Father's Day, and they're working on moving his little media room to a bigger space because he's outgrowing it with his collection, and he spent a good just 30 minutes explaining all the plots of these movies and showing me stuff in his collection. Though. Yeah, and I think Halloween is one of his favorites, if not his as well.
Yeah.
It's just really good. Really,
is it your favorite?
I always put it at number 1. I think just because it is so sentimental and because it's called Halloween and that's my favorite holiday and all that. Michael Myers probably isn't my favorite horror villain. But I really love Jamie Lee Curtis, and I like kind of what it started and what it represents.
Yeah.
And also, you didn't come with me, but I saw it alone in the theater a few years ago. Because
that was in Indianapolis, right?
I was in Indianapolis for a job training, and I found this theater that was playing it in October, so I went by myself to go see it, and it was a really good experience. I still found myself being not scared, but my heart was beating, and it was super suspenseful still. It just holds up.
But we did get to see The Shining in the cheap seats whenever they played it for Halloween, or Yeah, it was around Halloween time, but we saw that on our anniversary.
Yeah, The Shining in
And
theaters was great
seeing that in
also.
theaters was a much different experience than just watching it at home.
They need to bring more classic movies to theaters.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously now with COVID, we who know, I know they're starting to open them back up, but I don't know how long it's going to be until I actually want to
It's gonna
go.
be as long as as long as it needs to be. Like as long as things are shut down, if people are still getting sick, I don't care.
Right.
You know, and that's how it should be. But we're not here to talk about COVID.
Right.
We all know what's happening. We all know it's stupid, and you should stay home and shit.
Yeah.
Bar lives don't matter.
I think the other thing that gets me about Halloween is that a lot of it, I mean, the most scary parts take place at night, but
yeah,
even like the stalking parts take place during the day.
And it's really cool.
Yeah, and it normally, you know, horror movies, everything scary takes place at night, but
yeah,
that's, I think, the thing that stuck with me, especially when I saw it when I was young, is even, you know, in the day you could be walking around and you're not safe.
Yeah. And it's really cool how they hide Michael Myers in various shots where he's just barely out of frame or barely out of focus.
Yeah.
Bye Bye Man did that once.
And Bye Bye Man.
That movie's fucking terrible, but I was really impressed with that one.
Entertainingly funny,
okay,
though.
yeah, no, it's a good bad movie. But like I just want to talk about it because they did that one time in that movie where it was a static shot and the Bye Bye Man was just off in a corner and he was barely in frame. The only time they ever did it in the entire film.
There was a lot of things in that film that they only did one time.
Yeah.
And that's why it was so incomprehensible. Yeah. You didn't know what the hell was going on.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's anything else that you want to add, or do you even remember how old you were when you first saw it? You were probably
when I first saw Halloween?
Yeah.
I didn't see it until we met.
Oh.
Yeah, the first time, whenever the first time we watched it together would have been the first time I watched it. Yeah,
That's cool.
Yeah. So we
Although you didn't probably see like a lot of classic horror movies until you were an adult.
Yeah. Well, I spent most of my senior year of high school watching films on my netbook instead of learning and doing things. At that point in time, I'd given up on school. I'm gonna, full disclosure.
I mean, that's a thing, senioritis.
Yeah. So I mean, we got the netbooks my senior year. That was the first year they had the netbooks, so they were really like unsecure with what you could do with them. So I had all my music, I had a bunch of movies on there. I'd be watching like Evil Dead in the middle of like ecom or something,
Yeah.
Just like fun little stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, what about Scream?
Oh, you mean my favorite film of all time, Scream?
Yeah.
You mean Skeet Ulrich and Matthew Lillard's Scream?
Yeah. I love that movie. Makes me love.
I don't know where to start with that.
Matthew Lillard so much that my heart wants to burst.
So does
from
Twin
hurting
Peaks.
so much. He is just like the most perfect little human cinnamon roll.
Yeah. He plays
God,
such a good
him.
secondary villain. Or you can call him the main, but it's Billy, and then it's
he's the secondary villain, but he's it's just so funny because there's no reason for him to be.
No,
and that's the
but
joke.
that's the joke. That's what I love.
Like I just went along with it, man.
That's what I love about the movie is that Wes Craven like breaks down horror, and he makes fun of these tropes.
Still a good horror movie.
Yeah, but then he still knows when to use these tropes effectively. Like when Sydney's talking to Ghostface on the phone in her house, and she's just like, oh well, all horror movies are dumb because it's just a woman who runs up the stairs when she should be going outside. But then the movie sets up that, she has no choice but to run upstairs, and it does it really well. Like there's just so many scenes like that where they just play on the trope, but then they execute it in a way that's grounded and would make sense for the movie.
Right. And they probably sold a lot of Halloween costumes and made so much money.
That film was the one that shot the Ghostface costume into like famedom
it
forever.
It was based off of the painting The Scream by Edvard Munchmuke. I don't know how the hell you actually pronounce his name.
You probably did it better than I could.
I wrote a paper in college on that painting. I can tell you all about it, but I can't say the dude's name.
I could talk about Scream. We could do an entire podcast dedicated to just Scream.
We've rewatched it a lot, and I
I
love
could,
watching it on VHS. It just
yeah,
gives you such a like a
yeah.
cozy 90s feel
Well,
when
because
you want to
it's
cuddle
got
up and get some nostalgia in.
it's got the static and the film grain on it. And it just looks
Yeah.
really cool.
It's kind of like listening to a record. Like static just adds some
It
kind of
adds
warmth to things.
it adds room.
Yeah.
It adds like a breathability to it.
Now with VHS, it can go wrong to where it's like unwatchable. So
Yeah.
it's more of just a novelty thing to do.
Yeah.
But what year did the first one come out?
Like 96.
Okay.
I always
It must have
forget.
been the second one that I remember, because I want to say like when I was in first or second grade, I remember everyone had the costume or wanted the costume. Like there was just one Halloween where it was like 50% of kids were Ghostface.
Yeah, that would have been about like, you know, in anywhere between like third and sixth grade or something.
And then they had the versions with the blood and the blood
they would
knife.
come down the face, and the knife, you could move it around, there'd be blood and whatnot.
Such good memories.
They really had fun with those costumes, making different variations of them. I think Scream 2 is a really good sequel. It does what a sequel should do. And Wes Craven, again, he pulls on the tropes of what a sequel is, defines them, he breaks them down, and he kind of reverses them in a way that makes sense.
Yeah. That's why I don't like Scary Movie. Like not even the first one.
I did when I was a kid. I'm sure if I watched it now, I'd have much different feelings about it.
Yeah. Well, that's because parody was like a big deal, and people thought they were funny, but I don't think they held up well. I don't even really think Austin Powers has held up to that well. A lot of the jokes haven't.
I actually did try watching Austin Powers a few years ago, and I couldn't start it, and I couldn't sit through it because I was just like, this shit is so dated, I can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
It was like one of my favorite franchises when I was a kid.
Yeah, parody just doesn't. It's so, I think, of the time of whenever the parody is happening that it's very hard to watch later. Even Mel Brooks parody movies. Like, didn't we watch Robin Hood Men in Tights a while back? And you were like, this is not as great as I remember.
It's not as good as I remembered it being, which sucked because again, that's another movie that I loved when I was a kid.
Yeah, and Scream is I guess it's more satire than parody, because there's a fine line there.
Yeah, because it's still something that takes the building blocks and does something with them, as opposed to just showing them to you and mocking them.
Yeah, and then Scary Movie devolved into all these ones where it was literally just, it's like
reference
porn
humor
without the sex. Like it's like bad.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah, bad
versions of actors just worse actors just reenacting scenes. In a worse way.
And I remember that the first Scary Movie was weird because it based more of its plot on I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Because I think that had just come out.
Oh, yeah, that's fair. So it would probably have been more topical than to just be a Scream parody.
Yeah. No, that one's not like nostalgic for me because I didn't.
I Know What You Did Last Summer?
Yeah.
Not for me either. I remember I watched it on TV.
Get out of here, bug.
He's just hanging out. He just has something to say. He's got his 2 cents. He should be allowed to speak it. But no. I want to go back to Scream 2 real quick. I think it's a great sequel. The only thing I don't like is I think it would have been much more powerful if, again, spoilers, at the end of the film, it was just Billy's mom as the killer, and because this other guy is like a nobody.
Yeah.
He's just some dude in Sydney's class that like has a crush on her or something. I don't even remember. But I understand why there needed to be a second killer, not just because the first one had one, but also to, probably justify some of the inconsistencies of, who's dying and who's around when and whatnot. But it just it would have been so much more impactful, I think, had it just been a straight up vengeance against Sydney done by one person, because Billy's mom is a badass in that movie when she reveals herself. And the third movie is not a wash necessarily, but the killer's weak as shit. Like, no.
I saw Scream 4 the night before my senior prom.
Fuck that movie.
Me and my friends liked it at the time, but I was a dumb.
that was mean, but I hate that movie.
I know. I was a dumb 17-year-old.
Movie's a dumpster fire.
And it It was the night before prom, and I'm not even from Evansville, Indiana. I'm from a smaller town than that, and none of my friends that could drive wanted to drive in Evansville because they were terrible at driving still. And they thought it was too much traffic. So,
well, because they're used to that one street, two street shit.
Yeah, when we would hang out,
that one stoplight,
we would go to Dairy Queen, Taco Bell, Walmart,
daring and bold,
or the movies if something was playing. And so we hung out the night before we saw Scream 4, and I remember we all really liked it at the time.
It's such a
I like Hayden
bad
Panettiere
movie.
in it.
I like
they kind of do a lot
Panettiere
of the same I don't know, a lot of the same beats, I guess. Like they have the boyfriend.
Well, they
or not the boyfriend, but her kind of will they, won't they?
Well, they try to
outside.
set it up as a new meta commentary, but I don't know what the fuck they're commentating on first and foremost.
I don't know. Yeah, it just seemed like, hey, we're doing it again.
Yeah, and why is Sydney such a fucking idiot in the movie?
Her character,
like it's like she got knocked down
sucked.
A couple pegs, and this is her first encounter with a killer ever. Like there's the one scene in particular that I remember that I'm never gonna forget, where Ghostface is on the ground. She knows this motherfucker's not dead, but she turns his back to him anyway. And guess what? He got up and ran away. Like, she just makes dumb little rookie mistakes like that. And it's like, this is your fourth encounter with someone, putting your life in danger. You even, in the first movie yourself, called out how dumb these tropes were. Why are you falling into these fucking, these tropes, I guess?
Yeah, it's like she hasn't evaded a killer at least
ever
3 times
in her life
before.
Yeah. At least, Scream 3 had the decency to have Carrie Fisher in it. I was trying to think of anything positive to say. But Scream 3 has its moments, but more of the meta is what's better than the horror. Like when I think of Scream 3, I think of Jay and Silent Bob, Carrie Fisher, Parker Posey. I don't think of the gut reactions that I have to the scenes themselves like I do with 1 and 2.
Yeah. Well, going back to the first one, everyone always talks about this, but I guess just for the purposes of people who don't constantly watch YouTube videos about movies.
Yeah.
Like Drew Barrymore, wasn't she offered the lead?
Yeah. They offered her the lead, and she's I don't know if she's front and center on like the home releases, but I know that like for like promotional materials, she was
she was like promoted. I was like, hey, Drew Barrymore's in this, because she was the really big star at the time.
But then she had the idea to...
She wanted to be the intro girl that was killed within like the first 3 minutes of the movie.
And they played it out so fucking cool.
We think about it now and it's like, oh, that's like a common thing in
96.
In horror movies is like, oh, they'll have like the intro kill.
Yeah.
That wasn't a thing.
No.
Like Wes Craven pioneered that.
Yeah, because horror movies up until that point were pretty like, the first half was standard slow burn and then shit hits the fan second half. Like that's usually what horror movies were like.
But this one, so I think it just threw people for a loop. I wish I was like, not a child at the time.
Right.
Like I wish I had an adult brain to realize how cool that was, or like to react to it. It's just like, man, I wish I got to see something with fresh eyes
and you gotta
feel how shocking that would have been.
Think about like sitting in theaters expecting to see Drew Barrymore, who at the time was a triple A-list actor.
Yeah.
You're expecting to see her throughout this entire film, and she dies within the first 10 minutes.
Brutal. And also the fact that it shows her parents' reaction.
It's
like,
so sad.
Ooh, that's like twisting the knife in.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's just
no pun intended.
Yeah.
Or all the puns intended.
I think that's always the most effective way in horror to get you to really viscerally react to something, is showing this person's, not to be too gruesome, but I mean, that's our human reaction. That's to show like the real genuine reaction and having us believe it.
Well, that's the difference between, a horror movie that's done well that makes you care about the characters and you don't want these people to die versus like, movie fodder where it's like,
Yeah. Well, sometimes I like the campy B movies, but like,
sometimes.
with like a standard teen kind of movie that
Yeah.
one that the
I mean,
Cabin in the Woods was making fun of is
you
like,
can't tell me that the Friday the 13th 2009 remake is any good. Like when I think when I think of bad horror movies, I think of like that where it's like they
Yeah.
literally had like one group of kids that they killed off in the opening act was
yeah.
an entire, like, there wasn't an opening kill, there was an opening slaughter of one group of kids,
Yeah.
which already set the bar like super fucking low for that movie.
With yeah, eventually you'll get to like the teen movies where they just there's this group of kids, they die, no one cares, one by one, and then their reaction is just like, oh no,
Oh, they're dead. Oh, we gotta keep
that's
this
awful.
shit going.
It's not like
There's
literally
no,
like a breakdown in psyche,
Yeah.
because you go through like just this immediate shock.
It's like there's no consequences for anything
Right.
in the film or in any films like that.
I don't know.
I mean,
I don't know what else to say. Did we really like Scream?
I could just sit here and break down some scenes, but I don't want to do that.
No.
That's for we could dedicate an entire episode to Scream where
It's
I'm just
also
like, all
very
right, shot by shot.
quotable.
Yeah.
The first one especially, very quotable, very memeable.
Oh, well, like, because, like, one of my favorite scenes, I will break this one down, is when Jamie Kennedy is on the couch and he's
Yes.
watching Halloween and he's telling Jamie Lee Curtis to, look behind her, and he's just saying, look behind you, Jamie. And Ghostface is on the monitor and Ghostface is right behind him. I love
That's
shit
an
like
actor.
Breaking the fourth wall.
Yeah, an actor named Jamie. His name isn't Jamie in the movie, but
No.
the real actor's name is Jamie.
Yeah.
Telling another actor named Jamie to turn around.
To turn around with the killer right
when
behind
he needs
him.
Like, explaining the joke doesn't make it funny, but that's how like meta it is.
Yeah, yeah. And
that's
the
some
movie,
Twin
the
Peaks
movie's
shit.
just like that, like with fucking Henry Winkler being the principal of the school.
Henry Winkler is a gem.
He is. If y'all haven't seen Arrested
I'm so glad
Development,
they got him for it.
his character is probably one of the best ones in the show.
Yeah, underrated.
Yeah. That's all I have to say about Scream without just getting into rambly specifics.
Yeah.
I don't want to sit too long on one film and not give time to like whatever else you want to talk about.
We can just move down the list to Re-Animator since it's here on the table.
Since it's right here.
Yeah. Now, this is one I didn't see until we started dating.
Yeah.
And I had never heard of it. And I'm really glad you introduced me to it because it's probably in my top.
That's such a good...
It probably fights for my top role with Halloween, honestly.
This is one of the movies that I watched in school. And it's fucking... Like, nobody saw it whenever I was watching it. But I was in the front row of whatever class I was in. Like, nobody caught me. But, like, there's a lot of...
How did they not look at what was on your computer and be like, what the actual fuck?
That's what blows me away, because there's a lot of fucking nudity in this movie, especially
and
at the
blood
end.
And gore.
And I was just sitting there watching it. Nobody fucking saw it. No one said anything about it.
Interesting.
Yeah, but yeah, it was one of the ones I watched in high school when I should have been working. But I have reasons for that, and we can talk about that in the next podcast or whenever we feel like.
Yeah. Well, with Re-Animator, going back to like all these movies are basically about how people deal with death. And I think that's why I'm really drawn to horror, because it addresses something deep that we don't really get to explore every day.
Yeah. It allows you to sort of grasp on something and idealize and come up with
and really explore it, like, oh, what would I do in this situation? It allows you to confront death in a safe way, kind of like when you're having a dream, but that's a little more scary because you don't have control over it. With Re-Animator, it is more about grief. And kind of like The Omen or Pet Sematary and things like that. It's like, what lengths would you go to bring someone back, even if it had terrible consequences.
Yeah.
Because the main character is like the straight man, and he is dealing with the death of patients.
Yeah, because they're doctors in a hospital, and I think at the beginning of the movie, like after Jerry Combs has his initial scene, the scene after that is the one with, I can't remember the name of the character. I'm really trying to resuscitate a patient, and she just dies. Right, and he's trying to deal with that.
Yeah, he can't deal with not being able to save everyone, and then in comes Dr. West.
Dr. Herbert West.
He's just chewing up all the scenery. He's
I love
so
it.
good.
Well, that's what's great about the movie is they're all, what are they called? Character actors? Or because they're all stage performers or whatnot.
Yes. The director, Stuart Gordon, he did plays.
Yeah.
He was a play director. And so everything is just, except for the main straight man, they're all just completely over the top camp. It's just so fun.
It's such a great film.
And the special effects are like that too. Like they're not realistic. I think that's part of the reason too why I like this movie so much is because.
How many times can I say it's such a great film in one podcast? Is there a limit?
No, I guess not. But yeah, just the special effects are so creative, and it's a low ass budget movie, and
it's got a low ass.
Yeah.
Like talking like on the ground. It wakes up at 4 a.m. and it watches. Oh fuck, dude!
We're all over the place.
I'm blanking on names so hard. The Lowrider, the TV show, the
George Lopez.
Yeah, I okay. I was on the money. I knew it was George, but I couldn't remember the last name. Go on.
That show sucks. Anyway.
Hey, I watched that show.
And?
I don't know. That's all I gotta say about it.
Yeah, you don't remember it, do you?
Not really, no.
Because
I remember I thought that his wife. I was like, damn, she's cute.
Yeah, you like all the moms.
I love moms.
Sitcom moms are hot.
We need to do an episode about that.
All right. Anyway, I'll try to speed this up, but the Re-Animator is this crazy doctor. His idea is that he wants to make this green reagent stuff.
Yeah.
That will reanimate dead bodies and bring them back to life from brain death.
Yeah.
He's all about how brains don't die all the way, and you can actually stimulate them.
And there's the 6 to 12 minutes where there's still brain activity, and
if you catch these bodies right after they die, you'll be able to bring them back to life.
Yeah.
But they can't get it to actually work. They're just, basically cannibalistic zombies.
Yeah.
It's sort of a zombie movie, but it's not in that it's a lot more creative than that.
Because zombies are, a one and done. Like, they're dead. They've been dead, and then they just come back to life. Like, I know that's literally kind of what this is, but zombies are, I don't know. There's something different about it.
But this one just deals with the fact that this guy is not willing to let it go. Like he's
obsessed with trying to make the serum work.
Yeah.
He wants to prove his science right.
Dr. West, he doesn't give a fuck about the people or really his own life. Like he never seems concerned that he's gonna die.
No, he'll put himself
as long as it works.
Yeah.
He just wants it to work.
But like that's what makes him like not a shitty character, is that he's willing to even put himself on the line to make this work. Like that's, I think whenever a character is like that, it's compelling, as opposed to like someone who
someone who doesn't give a fuck about anyone else's life, but they are like overly protective of their own.
Yeah.
Versus like someone who he's literally just so.
There's someone in the country like that right now, but I'm not going to say who.
Like never is he ever like scared or anything. He's literally just so tunnel vision on this project that he can't see anything else. And then the main doctor with him just gets sucked into it because he wants to save lives. But
is his name Kane?
Yeah.
Okay. Nice. I'm really sidebar. I'm terrible with names in movies, even if it's a movie that I've seen so many times. I cannot remember names of characters, and I feel really bad. I don't know what it is about it.
Well, I generalize. I've understood that's how my brain works. Like I remember themes and general things that happened, but as far as details, names, and dates, I do not recall.
Though it's a wash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like I can watch something once and tell you like the entire plot, but if you try to ask me who the people were, I'll be like,
we're gonna get into Suspiria, the remake later, and we watched that once, and I can tell you damn near the movie like forward to backward, but I only know Dakota Johnson and Tilda Swinton.
Yeah. I don't know what else I want to say about Re-Animator. I mean, there's so much. Okay, so let's just talk about the one most famous scene where
I love it.
What's the villain, quote unquote villain doctor's name?
The Headless Horseman.
Yeah.
Or I guess he is the head of the Horseman.
Yeah, he's the head. Well, he has a head and a body. They're not together.
Yeah, no.
He gets decapitated at one point, and they're both reanimated separately. So that involves a lot of comedy.
And then it becomes like a Three Stooges shenanigans.
Yeah. You're right. Dan Cain. It is
okay. So Dan Cain, Herbert West, and then the fucking Headless Horseman head guy.
I gotta look it up.
Hang on. Okay. But we could talk about it because it does devolve into slapstick humor with his character, and it's obviously meant to be for laughs, because there are plenty of scenes of the head telling the body what to do, and the body is fumbling around, it's messing things up, and it's trying to get things right, and it just can't. There's the good scene where he's trying to get into that. Dr. Hill. Okay, yeah. There's a scene where he's trying to get in the petri dish, and he gets stabbed with the paper thing, and it just goes.
Letter opener.
Yeah, that thing.
Okay.
Something's wrong with my brain, y'all. I'm dumb as fuck. Be forewarned. I am not a smart person.
So Dr. Hill is a head, and he tells his
he should have quit.
He kidnaps this woman, and
it's Dan Cain's girlfriend.
Yes, he kidnaps the main.
I shouldn't say it. It's clearly a she.
The main female lead.
Yeah.
Straps her down to a table and then almost like goes down on her with his decapitated head.
Yeah.
It's really.
It
just makes you queasy, but it stops right before it gets too far.
Yeah.
And he gets caught and it goes to other stuff. But it's really
He also got caught
gross.
at the screening by his wife.
And for some reason, he did not tell his wife that was a scene in the movie.
And then they watched it at the premiere.
And they watched the premiere, and she
was so stunned. She slapped him.
She was really pissed.
No, she slapped him.
I mean, I don't know that I would have done that, but I would have been just like pretty pissed.
Like, what the fuck?
That I didn't hear of it. I think, but
you got to have this good time without me.
Yeah.
Son of a bitch.
Well, it's also just like an actor thing, though.
Yeah, yeah.
But I think I would just be more offended that you didn't ask my permission or just tell me.
Like, I can see why it would be awkward to be like, hey, honey, for this movie,
this is what I'm doing.
I have to get my head like this close to this fucking beaver down here. Is that okay?
Oh my gosh.
I gotta almost chew the scenery, if you know what I'm saying.
Ew. All right.
Moving on.
We're not gonna get sponsors for this.
I don't care. We are the sponsors, god damn it.
Yeah, I know.
How long have we been doing this? We've been talking for almost an hour.
Oh damn.
I guess we're not taking a break today. Shit.
No.
Yeah, how much longer can we go? Let's just like the only other movie that we
I guess
we
Re-Animator, watch it. That's all I gotta say. I know we've been rambling off and on, but
the sequel.
Just watch it.
And the third sequel.
It's fun. It's picked up a lot of steam in horror communities. It's pretty well known.
It's got amazing practical effects.
Among the general public, I don't think most people really know about it.
No.
Like they do with some of these other ones.
Yeah.
Okay, Suspiria.
Yeah, we're probably not going to be as jokey with this film.
Oh no, and we're talking about the remake.
The remake,
Suspiria.
because we haven't seen.
Did that come out?
I'm gonna say 2019. I think it came out last year.
I think it was 2018.
It might have been the year before. But yeah, we haven't seen the original. We haven't seen any of the original trilogy because
2018.
we wanted to watch them all in order, and the only one that we have is Mother of Tears, which we know is bad. We've been told is bad, but we haven't experienced it yet. But we want to watch all 3 of those films, back to back to get the full Mother's trilogy experience.
Yes, and if my dad can find them, I think he's gonna get me them for my birthday.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, but if not, well, I'll find them and buy them on my own.
I mean, I'll get into Jessica Harper later.
Mm-hmm.
God damn it, I can make a joke there, but I won't.
Anyway, Suspiria 2018 is a remake of a classic Italian horror movie,
1977 film.
But it is they completely redid the story.
They kept the plot the same, but the story is different.
Yeah, everything. It's still about a dance school where all the I guess you call them like headmistresses. I don't know. All the teachers are witches.
Yeah.
But this one's just gruesome and dark, and
it got a lot of visceral reactions out of me.
Yes.
And man, we
body horror too.
I don't remember if you were
contortions,
but I watched it high. I don't remember if you were high.
Yes, a little bit, not as much as you.
Or as the kids call it these days, a little under the weather. Yeah, no, I was pretty high. And don't worry, this was after the new year started, so it was totally legal.
Yeah, we were in Illinois at the time.
I just thumbs up at the camera. Nobody saw it.
I don't know if it was after the new year.
Oh.
It might have been.
Shit, well, we're going to jail. No, I love this movie though.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like it's one part beautiful, one part horrifying.
Yeah, the dancing in it is very good.
Like when you're watching it, you're like, "Oh God, this is so hard to watch," but I can't look away because it's so enthralling.
Mm-hmm. It's also the original, from what I know, is lit very colorfully.
Yeah.
Dario Argento, he
liked a lot of poppy colors. There's a lot of reds.
Yeah,
especially
reds and greens and stuff. Whereas this one, all the colors sucked out.
It's bleak.
Which it makes sense because when you think of a dance school in Europe, they wear the pale pinks. There's just very pale walls. Everybody's like, kind of sickly looking and thin.
For this movie specifically, it fits the tone. I can't say if the colors fit
Tilda
the tone
Swinton's
of the original one.
Basically an albino. Yeah. Like, just very pale, washed out colors. But it definitely fits.
Yeah.
And you know that they're witches the whole time, you as the audience. But it's just the amount that it gets ramped up.
They keep
you
building on that.
Yeah, you keep finding out these secrets and it reveals things about this cult of witches and all the things that they're doing.
The film opens with Chloe Grace Moretz. I think at that point I don't know if she explicitly says, "Hey, these headmistresses are witches," but she's like, "Hey, there's something weird with this fucking school. I need to get out of this school."
Yeah. Well, she had found out a lot of their secrets and written them down and stuff.
Okay. I couldn't remember if she knew that they were witches or if she was just like at that point processing and figuring things out.
I think both.
But then she disappears for the movie until about the end of the second act.
But everybody always shits on 50 Shades actress Dakota Johnson. I think that's starting to turn around now. Yeah. But she is I would say the star of this movie, aside from Tilda Swinton, and she did an amazing job. It's probably my favorite movie she's been in. Yeah. Yes.
And I haven't seen 50 Shades.
And I don't know if she's naturally a dancer or could dance before, but she learned. She did a great job. Yeah. There was some hard choreography in this, and she nailed it.
Especially at the end.
She did some spooky things with her body, man.
Oh my God, the whole movie
It makes dancing spooky.
The movie is pretty much a body horror film, I would call it.
And not in spooky, scary skeletons dancing.
No, like contortionist sort of they're unnatural limb movement.
Yeah, throbbing and thriving around, and writhing, and it's
wiggling
just
and jiggling.
Yeah, what the hell are you doing? Which makes sense because you think about witches out in the woods and they're in their circles doing dances, and that's kind of an eerie thing, and they kind of just build upon that.
Take the end of The Witch and just make that an entire fucking movie. That's Suspiria.
Yeah.
My soda can popped. I've been going back and forth between the soda and this water. I don't know if you've noticed that.
No, not at all.
Yeah. But yeah, I've got so much to talk about with this movie. I love the first scene of Dakota Johnson dancing, and the one, I don't know, that wasn't her roommate, right? The one who left because she knew that they were witches and she was sick of this shit too.
No, I don't
No,
think
that was
she
just
really
that was
knew
just
who
a girl.
that girl was, but it
Yeah.
was someone who had been ostracized by the witches. I think she was. The movie is also political. It's talking about power structures. There, was it in Germany?
Yeah, because there's a war going on in the movie. I forgot about that part.
Yeah, they're talking about power. There's tons of layers in it, but they're talking about the power structure in Germany. And I think this one girl was like a political activist in a way that the witches did not like. So they went after her.
Right. But like, you know, she leaves the main dance hall where all the girls are rehearsing. And I think she's trying to just leave the building, right? But instead she gets herself trapped in this room that's just a room of mirrors, and later on we figure out that Dakota Johnson used it for her audition. It's like a ritual room of some kind.
Yes.
And
magic room.
Tilda Swinton does something to Dakota Johnson in this scene where, you know, she wants her to dance this major part, and you can see, you know,
the dance is the spell.
Yeah,
like when they dance, they're casting whatever magic you want to call it. They're doing things when they dance.
And you can see throughout it, Dakota Johnson, she's like slowly getting better at dancing as the scene progresses.
And it's not like there's any point where she realizes like, oh, they're making me a witch, a witch dancer, and I don't want to do that. She's like fully into it. But you think that's what's going to happen, and she's going to snap at some point and realize and turn on them. But the whole time she's just like, yes, I understand that they're making me a witch dancer, and I like it.
But
I want to be a witch.
You really piece that together at the end of the movie. Like, throughout
it's
the entire
slow
film,
realization.
You're left wondering like, how much of this is she aware of, or what does she know? And then
that's why she's so good, because it presents her as very naive.
Yeah, but
and you believe that, and then at the end, she's not naive at all.
No. Well, because I'll just get the big plot twist out of the way. She's Mother Suspirium.
Yeah,
you know,
that's the big
reveal.
twist, is that they think the old established witch cult, they think that she's this new naive dancer that they can manipulate. And the whole time she has been the embodiment of this very ancient witch that has come to bring them all down. Yeah.
And so in this scene,
I'm just not realizing this talking about it. It's all about politics.
See, I need to watch it again to pick up on that.
It's all a symbol for political structures.
So I know the power struggle between the headmistresses, because there's Mother Suspirium, and then there's the other mother that I can't remember the name of. But there's the scene, and the scene is disgusting to watch. It's so hard to sit through, because while Dakota Johnson is dancing gracefully and she's getting better at dancing and whatnot, Tilda Swinton's just kind of watching her. The other character is just getting thrashed around on the floor, getting tossed around. Her body's twisting and breaking bones, and shit's just happening to her. She pees her fucking pants.
Yeah, it's gross.
Oh, it's so hard to watch.
Yeah, so
and the movie just doesn't stop doing that.
Yeah, so while Dakota Johnson's dancing her witch spell dance, she's forcing this other girl to like break bones and what's
happening
and grow tumors or whatever else she's doing. It's disgusting.
She's siphoning this other dancer's abilities to become like the ultimate dancer and to call forth Mother Suspirium, as we see at the end of the film, when it's her and Chloe Grace Moretz and her finally at the end, her roommate, who was there's an older man in the movie who is also played by Tilda Swinton.
Yeah, Tilda Swinton is Eddie Murphy.
In this movie, she is, because she also plays the fat mother too.
Yeah, she plays the fat nasty one. And they tried to keep it a secret for some reason, but
I thought like
people
the end credits
figured it out.
Did the end credits not say who that was? Okay, I mean you couldn't tell me. I thought that was just an actual old man.
No, it was her.
Like I think Roman probably
she
saw
played
through
everybody.
It. But
you could tell something like the makeup was good, but you could tell like the voice was just kind of like
the voice was too high to be like, I don't know, I guess
to be an old man.
You think what an old man would be, yeah. But like there's scenes of like the witches interacting, and they do it telepathically. Jesus Christ. But they don't do that in the original film. I think that was something that they added to this one.
Well, the thing of the original movie was that the audience was supposed to be surprised that they were
that
witches.
they're witches. Yeah,
the whole
that
point
was
of
the
original was that here's this naive dancer girl. She comes to the school. It has a lot of secrets. What's going on?
Yeah.
The end is, oh, it's witches. This one, it's a witch school the whole time.
And they don't bullshit you on that. They're like, all right, these are witches.
Which lets them go so much deeper and creepier with it as you find out more and more how evil and dark this thing goes. There's
a scene, like I said, the end of the second half where Chloe Grace Moretz comes back in, where Dakota Johnson finds them, right? No, her roommate finds them. Yeah, because that's when she's doing the search. She finds Dakota Johnson.
Yeah, they just keep all the keep all the girls that they've deformed and fucked up and just in a random room.
Yeah, like
in the dark.
The girls
sad.
don't die when they get contorted. They have to be alive for this power to like come to fruition. So they're just locked in a dungeon, and they're all just contorted and fucked up, and it's nasty. And then her roommate obviously succumbs to the same fate. And then we get to the what's probably the best scene of the movie, where the entire time the old man is looking for his wife who had gone missing for so many years, who is played by Jessica Harper, in this scene where he's just walking and she's there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's beautiful, and it's like he's so taken aback by her that
it's just kind of sorry to interrupt. It just reminds me in my like you have a dream or something about someone you haven't seen in a long time, and you just don't question it, like where you're just like, oh my god, you're here. Like
he's
it's
so
great.
Mystified by his wife being in front of him that they just go on a long walk, and he doesn't realize where she's taking him, which is to the front of the dance academy.
Yeah, she leads him right back to the dance school where they kidnap him.
When we get to the wall, it's like, oh fuck, this is crazy, because she's not real.
Yeah,
she's a projection done by the witches to bring him in to, I guess, bear witness. I guess they needed a witness to the event.
Yeah, it was part of their magic.
Oh, and it's such a sad scene, because like the look on his face, and it's Jessica Harper who played the main girl in the original film. Like that was a nice touch. She's also in Phantom of the Paradise, which is my favorite musical. We can dedicate a whole episode to that too.
Yeah,
I love that movie. But yeah, it's my favorite scene. I could talk about that scene.
It's heartbreaking.
It is, because then it goes to terrifying immediately when the witches just jump him.
Oh yeah, and they cackle. They're like right in his face. They just show up out of nowhere.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's gross.
But then
it's a great gross movie.
All of this culminates to the climax, which is I'm gonna call it the Red Room, because that's what it becomes by the end.
Yeah, just blood everywhere.
Yeah, and it's the ritual to summon Mother Suspirium.
Mm-hmm.
Is it the intention to summon Mother Suspirium, or is it the intention to dictate the new like mother?
I think weren't they all voting on making the fat grotesque one?
Yeah, because they
were
new
power.
They were taking votes between Mother Suspirium, who has been long gone reportedly, and they're just kind of like, I guess, following the old traditions.
Yeah, they're trying to put this new bitch in power.
And they're trying to put this new bitch in power. And they're taking votes.
So Dakota Johnson comes in and is like, nope.
And in this in this scene, it's a big room. There's a line of dancers on this wall back here, and in the center of it all is the three contorted girls, who I don't think they're contorted anymore. I think their bodies are normal.
No.
Are they?
They're still messed up.
They're still messed up? Okay, yeah. I couldn't remember. And Tilda Swinton's character of the old man is on the ground naked, and he has to bear witness to this terrifying dance that summons Mother Suspirium. That's the one where there's just so much thrashing around and so much just movement. And
and they're on these great like red kind of bandage costumes.
At the end of the dance, it does this that it still terrifies me, where like they cut the frames to like if the frames are like 30 frames for like the normal film, or however many is standard, like they cut those like to like a quarter.
Yeah, it almost reminds me of like a goth music video.
Yeah, it looks like
like a Marilyn Manson type.
At the end, it
video.
Looks like they're putting like still images up one at a time instead of it
like
just
a
looking
strobe
like a
light
film.
effect.
Yeah, and it's so fucking good. But at the end, they do the dance. They summon Mother Suspirium, or they summon like a her familiar or something.
I don't know.
Like they summon this thing that's a demon, and Dakota Johnson comes out and she's like, "Hey, I'm Mother Suspirium. Who did y'all vote for?" And anybody who didn't vote for her got their fucking head blown off. And the fat mother tried to be a smart bitch about it. And she was like, "Oh, I voted for you, right?" Like, no, you didn't. And she gets her fucking head blown off.
Yeah.
And the end of the movie is also my favorite. And I don't remember if I cried. I might have, because Dakota Johnson as Mother Suspirium travels to the old man's apartment and sits down with him and explains to him where his wife died and how she died and when, and just kind of gives him that relief and release of like, you know, I don't like,
because his wife was basically killed,
I think, by the Germans.
Yeah.
Right, because she was taken to like a concentration camp or somewhere.
Yeah. Either way, like all this time he's been grieving because his wife was lost and he never knew what happened to her.
She's been lost for like 20, 30 years or however long ago it was.
Yeah. So she basically gives, which it sucks, but you know, most people when they lose a loved one, they'd rather know than just never know.
And she sits him down. She's like, "I thought you should know this, you know. She died thinking of you. She didn't suffer." And
I don't remember.
I don't remember the specifics, but she just, you know, she gives him that comfort of knowing that she's gone. And that's, you know, that's really what he wanted. And he cries. And that probably made me cry.
Yeah.
Because just seeing that was so, like, it's such a good movie because, you know, Mother Suspirium's not evil. She's just like a deity who's trying to keep the order of her cult in order.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So better than 50 Shades.
A lot better than 50 Shades. Dakota Johnson's such a great actress in that. And while we're on the subject of that, our Pats is great too. Go watch Good Time.
Oh yeah.
Go watch The Lighthouse.
Twilight.
He fucking hates Twilight. I love him so much. I love watching interviews of him just shitting on Twilight.
Yeah.
I've never seen Twilight. We should do that.
Yeah.
It'd be fun.
Well, I was gonna tell my Hereditary story.
Okay.
'Cause I don't know. I feel like this is so long. Oh well. I'll
it doesn't matter.
I guess there's not a whole lot to tell, just besides
hour 13. Who cares?
Hereditary and Midsummer are the big two, which a lot of, you know, film buffs have been talking about in the last few years.
We just ordered the Midsummer director's cut with the 62-page booklet. I'm excited for that.
Between the two, I like Hereditary just a little bit more.
Yeah.
Just because I think personally for me, it's scarier. I think the acting is a little bit better.
Yeah.
Toni Collette, you just can't get better.
No.
She gave like an Oscar-worthy performance if they nominated horror for Oscars.
And if you don't count Sixth Sense, I think it was the first time she's been in a horror movie. I don't think there's any other ones I can think of that she's been in.
But anyway, we went into it totally blind, which helped.
Yeah.
All I knew about it was that people were talking about it. It was in theaters, and I wanted to go see a movie that people said was good in theaters.
Critics said it was
I almost
good.
Burped, sorry. I also knew it was polarizing.
Yeah.
Because
as most good movies
well,
are.
I had just seen on Facebook that some of my friends had been like, I was told this was scary, and it wasn't at all. I thought it was a drama type movie.
Yeah.
Like a thriller. I didn't think it was an actual horror
No,
movie.
It was more of a family drama with horror in it.
And the trailers, the marketing didn't really give much away at all. I knew there was like a little girl. I didn't know anything about it, to be honest.
It has horror themes and elements, but the horror isn't part of it.
Yeah, so we went in not knowing what it was about, and just progressively as the movie went on. I mean, the whole biggest tone shift happens.
The tone ship.
When the little girl, Toni Collette's daughter, gets decapitated.
Fucking railed.
And I mean, it's an iconic messed up scene. And my heart just sank into my stomach in the theater. Like, I felt like I can't even, like,
I was on edge for a
that
good chunk of the movie after that.
I was just like, I can't breathe. I cannot believe that happened. What the fuck? And the aftermath of it, the way the brother reacts, it felt so realistic to where you're just in so much shock that you can't even deal with the reality of that.
Yeah,
that just having happened. Plus, he was high.
Yeah.
So that also adds to it because you're kind of in a cloud anyway and paranoid, and you're just like.
I think people forget that he was high when they talk about that scene.
I think so because some people are like
fat fucking rips right before that drive.
Yes, yeah. So I can totally believe it. I don't think people realize that. Not everybody, when something traumatic happens, you're not ever gonna like scream initially or freak out or have the perfect reaction. Sometimes it's just pure shock and denial,
and you have to sort your feelings out,
and you just are like, I can't fucking deal with this.
That's me on a day-to-day basis.
I mean, yeah.
I don't know if I can.
And obviously the way he deals with it is like the worst possible way by not dealing with it. And then obviously his mom's reaction is just so horrifying.
Toni Collette's scream, because you don't see her perspective, you hear it because it's still kind of his scene. And it just puts you
in his shoes. Yeah. It makes you feel the guilt that he
hear the scream, and it's so just gut-wrenching. It's so real.
I mean, I can't even imagine how anyone else would react to finding
the body of your child without a head in the back seat of your van.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
And then just as the movie goes on, it gets progressively darker, and Toni Collette has dreams. It's more twisted, and people have issues with like the cultiness and like what I'm not gonna. I liked it because I think it's very rewatchable. You can go back and look at things and see things that you didn't the first time and kind of piece together the clues. I like movies that don't give you all of the answers right away.
When stories don't give you all of the answers and they just kind of tell you a story and they're like, okay, well, why don't you figure it out? That's when it's good, because it allows for conversation.
But I have still never seen a couple minutes of the movie because I always close my eyes.
You always close your eyes when
Toni Collette. Scary.
When Toni Collette is like fully possessed by Payman.
Yes.
And she's banging her head on the ceiling.
I've kind of seen that, but I have not seen the attic scene like at all.
Yeah, you close your eyes and then you usually open it once her head kind of like, once her body kind of plops off or her head plops off or whatever.
No, I've pretty much only seen like after the son dies.
After he jumps out the window.
Yeah, and gets reanimated, then I'll start watching it again.
And then like even like
but that movie's
watching Toni Collette's just like stiff body just kind of like float up.
Ooh, it's so eerie.
It's so eerie.
Like I've never had such a visceral reaction.
The effect itself is so bizarrely strange that like it's enough for me to just kind of like wince at it,
I've just never had such a visceral reaction to a movie, especially
How many
in the
times can we say visceral in one podcast?
Many. But like afterwards, I felt like I was gonna faint. I felt like I was gonna throw up. I could barely walk down the steps of the theater because I felt like my knees were gonna buckle. Like it's like people joke about that, but that's literally how I felt. Yeah. And then you wanted to talk about it, and I was just
I was trying to talk about it in the car, and you were just like, "Can you fucking stop?
I don't want to think about it.
Talking about this movie.
I can't." And then I slept with all the lights on.
Yeah.
But then the next morning, like that's for me a really good movie is when you remember it so vividly, and even though it scared you that badly, you want to know about it. So I would like this is why I got into horror movies in the first place, because they scared me so badly that I would watch all the special effects behind the scenes. I haven't done that in a
long time.
Yeah, I really like special effects and the artistry behind it. I would watch all the special effects because then I would be like, okay, this isn't real. This is the thing that people worked on and they created this art.
Can I tell you what my favorite special effect is?
Yes.
It's the one in Evil Dead 2 when Ash is fighting his girlfriend's body after he figures out that she has the chainsaw and she busts through that door. Mm-hmm. Underneath there's a dude on a skateboard that they pushed in the scene. but obviously like you can't see that because of the table and it's all cut off and whatnot. But yeah, underneath this scene of this corpse thrashing around with the chainsaw is this dude on a skateboard holding it up.
Especially the first Evil Dead 1 and 2, they did some really creative things to get those shots, as far as like making different camera rigs and just a lot of really neat shit that they did with their budget. I don't know. Hereditary is just so, and some people are like, it's not scary to me, which fear is so subjective. I think everybody's scared by different things, but for me, it gets to the core of my fears, which is a lot of just family trauma, something terrible happening to loved ones, finding a dead body when you're least expecting it. These are things that happen in my nightmares. And that's why I got such that sickening feeling watching it, because I was like, this feels familiar to my dreams.
Yeah.
Terrifying things happen, faces contort, trauma happens, and not to get too dark, but like
your dreams are really fucking weird.
My dreams suck. I dream about loved ones dying all the time. I think it's just my brain's way of trying to cope with the fact that if that happens, that I don't have a complete breakdown, like trying to familiarize my brain with the concept of that possibly happening.
Yeah.
Especially after my grandma died, because I just never considered that it was a possibility.
Yeah.
And I think that just shocked me to my core so much that my brain is like, well, you're never going to be that unprepared again.
Yeah.
So like, I'm going to force you to think about all your loved ones dying so that you're not unprepared if it happens, which is such a dumb fucking thing for my brain to do. Yeah. Why does it do this to me?
I don't know. I mean, brains are weird. That's just what they are.
That's my theory anyway on why I have messed up dreams.
Like I guess if you could call Hereditary a horror movie, like give it a family horror category, I guess.
Just trauma.
About trauma horror, something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, I mean, it's also like got cult magic in it also. But I mean, the reason the cult stuff is just the I don't know, sprinkles on top, I think, of what's really scary to me is the family trauma, the deep resentment of the mom with the son, and the son having guilt and this accident that happened that was preventable but not, and just the way all the pieces fell together in this really unfortunate way. And mental illness is very scary to me also, because it's so unpredictable.
I think that's what's scary about the movie. Like it like obviously.
When we were watching it in the theater, what scared me was I thought the mom was seeing things that weren't actually there, and we were seeing her perspective.
But then
and that scared me.
The entire time there's like an underlying cult going on, and like. And anything that seems accidental is like you can rule out as like totally predetermined, because even the signpost that the daughter gets her head decapitated on has the cult symbol engraved on it. So like everything is pre-planned from the beginning. So it's an inevitable thing for this movie to have all these things happen, and you don't realize that until after you watch it, unless you pick up on the clues throughout, which obviously I didn't.
Yeah, I doubt that hardly anyone unless they knew what it was beforehand, picked up on anything.
And I think that's the really scary part about it, is when something is perceived as accidental when it's really not,
Yes. Yeah, that is pretty horrifying too.
Yeah. Because everything, even down to Toni Collette befriending the woman at the what do you call it? The group meeting, the sympathy circle.
I think the people that like Midsummer a little more, they probably like having things laid out for them a little better. I'm not calling them like stupid or anything. I'm just saying like,
are you?
No. And it's also a completely different setting. Maybe they like the outside. Maybe they like the visuals
Midsummer,
more.
That's not fair though, because Midsummer still leaves a lot of gray area for you to like fill in the blanks.
It does. It's still the same style. You still decode a lot. I'm just saying, from what you were saying, like how when you're watching Hereditary, things seem accidental, but I think when I was watching Midsummer, I could clearly see that the cult had lined everything up a certain way.
Yeah, well,
and you're supposed to.
You're supposed to in that one.
Yeah.
In Hereditary, that's in the background. You're supposed to focus on the family drama.
Right.
The thing that's in the background of Midsummer is
The family drama.
Yeah, the family dramas like it,
and
like,
the relationship.
They're
drama.
the inverse of one another. Both these movies are literally in everything, even down to like the lighting and tone and color. Because obviously, Midsummer messes a lot with psychedelic effects and whatnot.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, I think more or less that's what Ari Aster was going for with Midsummer.
Yeah, it still got to me though. I don't know if anything has happened to Ari Aster and his family. I haven't researched it, but
I don't know.
Not to get too personal, but there's a lot of like weird mental illness, family trauma type stuff in my family, and seeing, you know, her struggle with, you know, is my sister just saying this stuff or is she actually going to act on it? And I've worked in a psychiatric ward, and that's kind of the fear, is that you're going to one time think that, oh, this person's just crazy. Yeah. They're just saying shit. And then no, they actually go and do it. And you're like, fuck, I could have prevented this.
And then you have
that's a huge fear.
Gaslighting boyfriend who treats you like garbage.
Yeah, and really it was the boyfriend's fault for saying, oh, she says this shit all the time.
Because he talked her out of it.
Yeah. And then he feels none of the guilt.
No.
He gets on my damn nerves.
He does.
And people will actually try to defend him, and I'm just like, who hurt you? Like, that is not a good relationship.
The only people who can defend a gaslighter are fucking gaslighters. Are men who do the same thing.
People who are like, oh, he wasn't that bad, but I'm just like, how bad are the people you dated? Because he's pretty damn bad.
He's pretty fucking bad.
Like, just because he doesn't outright hit her or like...
Yeah. But he'll lie.
He literally he'll cover admitted that he just kept her around, like, just in case. Yeah. Because he didn't want to be alone.
It's like, well, what if I need her at some point, you know? Like...
And she just clings to him because she obviously doesn't want to be alone. Yeah. And it's just the classic. I mean, that's realistic to me because I've seen these type of people when everyone around them clearly knows they don't really match. But they've just, you know, they just somehow came together and they've been together and aren't willing to end it yet. So they're just kind of stringing along in this limbo.
Yeah. It's like, because
there's a lot of people who are really like that.
The thing about the movie that got me was, I don't remember when I figured out that this couple had been dating for 4 years, apparently, in the timeline of the movie. I thought they were like a 3-month-old couple. Yeah. Like toward the end of the movie or whenever you figure out they've been dating for 4 years. I was like, what the fuck? I thought they were like a brand new couple. Yeah. I thought there were like no stakes for this. 4 years.
There's
like,
people like that, though. I just can't wrap my head around it.
4 years is too long of a time to be that shitty of a person toward someone you're dating.
Yeah. Well, there's people who are I'm not that like... getting married is something that you have to do, but there's people so individualistic that they think of a relationship as just like, oh, we're dating, but we're still two separate people, and we're not going to intertwine our lives really much at all.
But I mean, that's not entirely false. Like, it's still like, you know, we are our individual selves, but we're also one self, you know. It's a give and take type of thing.
Right. I just feel like we don't even know like how distant some people can actually be or get. I think they from watching the movie, I mean, they probably drifted more because they're like what in their graduate programs or something.
Yeah,
like they're out of
see them drift further throughout the film. Like
but like they're still trying to pretend that they're not. It's just such a weird dynamic.
But then it leads up to the end where, you know, shit hits the fan. Bear costume. There's a fire. Yeah. Happy ending for everybody. Fucking what is Imogen? Not Imogen Poots. I don't remember what she's been in.
Gosh, what is her name?
You know, she was
so good at it. She was the best actress. That was my only problem, is that I feel like the guy who played all the cult people were great.
The cult people were great. The college students, aside from the guy who played Christian, were not that great, which sucks because the one kid was in Bandersnatch and he was great in Bandersnatch.
Yeah, I just didn't buy them
like as college kids or even
as being
like characters.
serious.
No.
Yeah, I didn't feel that they were taking it like they didn't. To me, they didn't react realistically to being in such a secluded place with these cult people, which to be fair would be a hard acting position because it's not really common. But I just didn't buy that they were really reacting to what they were seeing.
Well, I think they were probably underdeveloped on purpose. And if that's the case, I think that the story could have been chopped up and mixed around a little bit because there's a clear dynamic between...
Florence Pugh is her name.
Okay. So there's a clear difference between her character and the boyfriend character whose name is Christian. I only remember his name is Christian because she pronounces it Christian.
Yeah, she says it like 5 million times.
She does. But like there's a clear dynamic where they're pulling apart, but there's this other couple that someone else brings in who are engaged and they've been together for a shorter period of time than these two. I think that those two characters should have they died. They were the first two to die.
Yeah, they were better actors than the other kids.
They were like a foil to the main couple of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
So they should have been the ones to sort of, play more of a role in their lives as opposed to the college students who were, it feels like, underdeveloped on purpose.
Yeah.
I
don't think the guy who played Christian was that great either, to be honest.
He wasn't.
Which
I mean, he was those tall shirts did him no justice because when he took his shirt off, I was like, fuck. Damn, this dude.
Yeah, he wore like those really weird slouchy
long shirts that kind of make you look bigger than you
are.
are.
I wasn't just talking about like physically he was fine, but I just meant like...
No, I mean like as an actor, yeah.
Again, his role would have been kind of hard to like navigate as far as like this guy who's like nice but distant but shitty.
I just wanted to say that dude's beefcake, so...
I think he just went with acting kind of vague and distant, which can also come off as just not really anything, like just kind of stone. But I think it's also just that Florence Pugh was so good that she just kind of outshone him
she did
by
a
mile.
A lot of face acting, a lot of
and some people
breathing.
think her faces are dumb. It's like she just witnessed her whole family die terribly and was on psychedelics for much of her scenes. Like not the actress, but like her character.
The characters do a lot of fucking psychedelics in this movie at different points.
I don't know if people that have that criticism have not done psychedelics, but it makes you act fucking weird.
It makes you act very different. You
breathe weird. You make weird facial expressions. Like that's totally realistic. And it doesn't, like at the beginning they do acid, but then as the cult gives them other stuff, it doesn't even tell you what those drugs are. So who knows how it made her react.
If I had to guess why, I think it's just because like I've never seen another movie where somebody acts with their face like that and does like all these like, these like puffy cheek breathing exercises and whatnot. Like I haven't seen that. Yeah. So I think like for my first time seeing someone act like that, I thought it was really cool. And people
I just love her cute little
be the
frown
same way.
at the end.
Yeah.
When she's flopping about in her dress.
Yeah. But then she smiles.
Yeah.
Because it's a happy ending.
Yeah.
Because she gets the family and loses the boyfriend in the end.
Yeah.
And the dude
I want to cosplay her and May Queen outfit eventually. Just a big hoop of flowers.
That'd be fun.
Cute.
That'd be fun. But yeah, that's all I have to really say about Midsummer.
Mm-hmm.
I think...
Same here.
I don't know if we have anything else to talk about. We talked about like 6 movies and 3 TV shows. And
I'm good. My throat hurts.
Yeah, we have been going on for so long. It's been an hour and a half and we haven't taken a break. So I think we're going to call it a wrap on this one. I'm so glad. These ones are going to be the longest ones, I think, where we just sit down and talk about movies.
Yeah. Thanks for putting up with our ramblings.
Yeah.
And not knowing actor and actress names.
That's going to happen
and character names.
Forever. I am so bad at names. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But yeah, thanks for tuning in. I ain't got shit to say. I think we love you. Is that how we end it from now on?
No.
I think we love you guys.
We do. we love you.
How many times can I call back to other episodes in a podcast? Sorry, that was the rule of 3s. I had to do that one more time.
Trying to think of something to plug, but I guess we have nothing to plug.
I'm, I just like the word plug. It made me laugh. Thinking about all the ways to use the word plug.
Plug. Yeah. And, Spotify, YouTube.
Anywhere else that eventually it might come to. I don't know. Keep tuning in. Check us out every week as we get better. We
Black
get smarter.
Lives Matter. Don't do actual blackface.
Thought you were going to say blackface matters.
No, don't do actual
it doesn't
blackface.
Matter, though.
Stop virtue signaling by taking shit off of TV shows that no one cares about.
Do some real fucking good. You know, bring police brutality to an end. Bring
Arrest
the people
the cops
who murdered
that killed Breonna Taylor.
What's the most recent
Make
one
some
that's been
actual
uncovered?
change.
What is his name? Was it Elijah?
Emmett Till?
No,
that's an older one.
No. The boy who he the violinist who he was just saying I'm different. I play violin. I'm a nice guy.
I don't know.
I think his name might have been Elijah, and if I'm wrong, I'm so sorry about that. But just bring all the fucking bad cops to justice, which means bring all the cops to justice. Defund the fucking police. We should probably end here before we just start rambling on about other stuff.
Yeah. Because
it's been so long. All right. We love you guys. Thanks for tuning into this one. Next week we will be back with, I don't know what the fuck. We never know. We'll figure it out.
Yeah. Probably we'll talk about like mental health and all the things wrong with us.
There's a lot to unpack in that one.
But who knows? We might change our minds.
Yeah, we do that a lot.
Subscribe, tune in to see what the hell we're thinking about.
Yep. Thanks, guys.
Love you. Bye.
Love you. Bye. I'm going to end every one of these with you laughing.